Yo, 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 what is up? I apologize. Welcome to this podcast. I'm your host, the one you're listening to right now. Me, Tommy Maloney. Did I mention Blending the Family? That's this podcast. I don't know why I am... I was texting some really close friends, and Yo-Yo was like, they would always make fun of me that I would say that. I don't know. Anyway, hold on. I need a sip of cold coffee right now. And yes, drinking out of my Blending the Family mug. One day I will sell them. I had a hat, but our dog Otis, hashtag our dog Otis Colorado, chewed it up pretty well. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome. If you are a regular listener, thank you for being a regular listener. Before I forget, because I forget this all the time, I am really bad at self-promoting. Don't forget, you can go to the website, mydadsadvicebook.com, mydadsadvicebook.com. Get your pre-sale order of my new book called My Dad's Advice at 5:04 a.m. My Dad's Advice at 5:04 a.m. If you're listening to the podcast for the first time, I have actually read a couple of chapters from the book before they've gone through a lot of editing, but I wanted to just share that with you. So you can check that out. Sorry, watching. So my office is down in the basement, and my desk outlooks the window well, but I have a stand-up desk, and I can see outside, and I can see Otis running around. And for a moment there, I was like, that didn't look like Otis, but that was Otis. And I will have to... Let me wait on that before I introduce who this week's guest is. Mental Health Monday, that's a new podcast series I've been doing, so please check that out. I've done 4 so far. So Mental Health Monday, and it's been recommended that I do something more, and what that more is creating at least one, possibly 2 groups. And one of the first groups I'm thinking about doing is a bonus dad group, aka stepdads, but we here on Blending the Family say bonus. Never understood step. So stay tuned for that. Excited about possibly creating that. I love creating things, but I'm really bad at, pulling the Band-Aid off. I want to yell at Otis. Odie, what are you doing? He's just looking at me like, you're an idiot. I know. How are you doing? You doing well? I hope you are doing well. I am super excited. This next week, I am going to be in the Midwest. I'm nervous. I am very, very nervous. And this is really apropos because when I went to visit the college I was going to attend, my dad and I took the trip up there to Winona, Minnesota. I went to Winona State for 1 year. Had a little too much fun. But anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about Connor. So the following week, Connor and I are making a trip to Michigan to go visit the college he will be attending this fall. What is this? June? almost July, August. Oh my gosh, it's getting there. I don't want to even think about it. I'm nervous. I'm nervous of him being so far away. But, we have to let our kids grow and fail. And in an upcoming podcast episode, I have Art Eddy on. And Art is what I like to call a positive fatherhood dude. He's doing great things in that space. And so we were talking, and it's and I know it's not just a dad thing. I know it's a parenting thing, a both mom and dad thing. But you never know. You never know how well you've prepared your kids, taking these next steps, going from, grade school to high school to college. And I don't know how my wife did it with her oldest daughter, Betsy, where, she went off to her next chapter in life, out of state. Let's see. Well, technically, one state away about. Anywho, yes, I digress. So that's what's going up. Going up. I don't know what that means. That's what's going on. All right. This episode, I am so excited and so I don't know what the words are. I've really had a bad week recording podcasts and just forgetting words. I forgot people. I am just a mess. I don't know what it is. Anyway, a dear friend of mine who's an author, a speaker, an advocate. Her name is Jamila Bryant. And Jamila is on this podcast since the month of June is Pride Month. And I've wanted Jamila on this podcast for a long time because her first book, Quote Junkie Diaries, was phenomenal. I loved their original quotes from her, and all of her information will be in the show notes. But as I said, June is Pride Month, and I wanted her to talk about a few things, how she came out to her parents, and you're going to hear that story. And it's a bit of a happy ending, but she is in the minority when it comes to how parents treat their kids when kids come out, and it's disgraceful. I'm going to say it right now. If you're one of those stupid parents that disowned your kids, you don't deserve to be a parent. That's just my 2 cents. And one of the biggest lessons I learned, and I hope it's something you will use as well, is the 3 things that she said how to help kids that are coming out is, number 1, love them. And we talk a lot about unconditional love, and I kept equating it to, our dog Otis. It's unconditional love. And number 2 was support your kids. And number 3 was educate yourself. So once again, love your kids, support your kids, and educate yourself on if you are in one of those situations where your kids are coming out. And I already told our kids, I said, I don't care. You come out, you come out. I don't know. I'm still going to love you. If Otis came up to me and said, hey, I like cats. All right, that's okay. All right. I don't like cats that much. I love animals. I do. All right, I prefer dogs. How's that? I prefer dogs. So Jamila Bryant is our guest on this week's podcast. Again, in the show notes will be all the links, but get her book, Quote Junkie Diaries, Volume 1. I loved it. You're going to hear a little bit, but I was coaching her, and she's also in the military, and she was heading overseas, and she was like, well, when I come back, I'll finish the book. I'm like, no, just get this book done. And sometimes I should listen to my own advice and get my book done. But anyway, so I'm so grateful that Jamila came on and talked honestly about her life, what it's like being in the military, and when she first went into the military, knowing that she's gay. And so I hope this episode really sparks conversations for you and your family and your kids. Like I said, I had this conversation, a few years ago, and the kids looked at me like I had a third eye because they're like, yeah, we're okay. And even the fact I said, well, you might not know it, but you might have a friend or two that might be gay. And they're like, well, we do. We already know. I'm like, okay, all right, I'm done being a dad. Cold coffee. All right. I think I've said way too much. Thank you again for downloading this episode. Thank you for always listening to this podcast. I am humbled that people do this, and I just love doing it. I really do. Just a peek behind the curtain. I've been off of the Silent Partner this week, and just been cranking out episodes. So I love it. I love being able to do it and bring them to you. So once again, please head over to mydadsadvicebook.com. Get your pre-sale order of the book, My Dad's Advice, at 5:04 a.m. Mondays, Mental Health Monday. I haven't recorded the new one yet as of now. Still putting that together. And stay tuned. I'll probably I'm close to finishing up the new website, and I'll put information in there about groups. The coaching packages will be in there. So there you go. And I had before I leave, I just want to say I had a surreal moment. I was doing an interview the other day, and this gentleman was telling the story, and the story proved my point why I love using the Terry Crews quote. And I had this aha moment that I'm very grateful that I heard the interview with Terry Crews and that I use it, because it is so true. And it doesn't matter in what world you're in, be in the business world, the parenting world, your success is my success. And I firmly believe it. If you're a successful parent, I'm going to be a successful parent because I'm going to learn from you, and vice versa. If you're in business and your colleague is up for a promotion and you help them, their success is your success. So, as a new listener, this is how I end the podcast every time. It's a quote from Terry Crews, and here we go. Coming up, my interview, my conversation with Jamila Bryant, and as Terry Crews would say, your success is my success. Yo, yo, yo. All right, Jamila, here we go. Apparently we're on a game show now. I didn't know that. All right, Jamila. Number one, thanks for coming onto the podcast. This has been a long time coming. So I want to start off with from your first book, Quote Junkie Diaries. And I was going through some of the quotes, and a lot of your quotes resonate, but it depends what day it is, and it depends what's going on in your life. And this one really resonated with me, and I'll explain why. If you are always willing to compromise for what you want in life, you will never get what you are designed. Oh gosh, I am having bad day talking today.
That's okay.
Let's try this again. If you're always willing to compromise for what you want in life, you will never get what you are destined to receive and what your heart and soul desires. Anyway, that really resonated with me because of not only being a parent, being a dad, but being somebody who is, you and I have known each other for many, many years, meeting at, Toastmasters and watching each other grow through Toastmasters, watching us, uh, you know, trying to, you know, live our purpose.
Hmm.
And reading that quote, Jamila, to me, I felt um, this this area of my life right now. I'm not living my purpose. I am um, still doing a dreaded day job, which a lot of us do, because in my estimate, in my mind, is that a lot of people, and you can agree, disagree, but I
Yes.
feel that people are afraid to take that leap of faith to go, you know what, I want to write a book, which you've done. I want to speak on stage, which you've done. But there are people out there that are just like, I can't do that. Jamila can do that, but I can't do that. So I wanted to know what you felt hearing one of your own quotes from your own book.
Thank you, Tommy. First of all, thank you for having me on this show today. I really do appreciate it. I know it's been a long time coming, but the timing is right now. And thank you for opening up with a quote from Quote Junkie Diaries, Volume 1. I really do appreciate that and getting my messages out there, my thoughts out there, my inspiration out there. So thank you for that, first of all.
You're welcome.
And what's the reaction when I hear that quote? It was like, wow, I wrote that. And I had to kind of remember, it's been a couple years since I did that project, my first book project, and it felt good. Like it bring back all those warm fuzzies that I have inside when I was living in my purpose and doing things that I was satisfied with. I was happy with doing outside of my 9 to 5 and my military responsibilities. So hearing that was like, man, it just brought back all those memories. And as you know, Tommy, we talk offline a lot. It's been a long year for me and my family, and I haven't been putting a lot of energy into things since the tragedy happened in March. So um, hearing that and doing this podcast today, and just having that conversation with you the other week and some other people, has been very inspiring to me, and it's given me that drive is coming back so I can, put more energy back into business projects and Quote Junkie Diaries. So thank you. And that's how I feel or felt when I heard that quote.
um, how do you live your purpose? How does Jamila on a daily basis? And I only ask this because, for the audience point of view, for people that aren't, I know Simon Sinek, he coined the whole why word. Um, again, why, or another way, again, purpose. So how do you regularly live your purpose? And granted, we're all human, Jamila, and we can definitely talk about, if you want to talk about, what has happened in
Mm-hmm.
your life in March, and
Sure.
horrific experience for you and your family. But how do you live your purpose? What is it? What does it look like for you?
Yeah, great question. And what living in my purpose as Jamila Latifah Bryant means to me and how I live it is just basically being my authentic self. You can't see me out there, but I'm African American, female, identified as a lesbian. So shout out to Pride Month, Pride Month 2021. And so just not looking at my identities and letting that be a limiting factor on why I can't do things in life. Growing up for me, I grew up in West Philly. Shout out to the Eagles and I guess the Sixers, even though we lost.
Don't forget the Flyers.
And the Flyers too. Yes, that was coming. That was coming. Um, yeah. So basically, growing up in the '80s in West Philly, it wasn't a lot of representation of people that look like or identify as myself. So that was kind of hard. And you living in a community, and you're not seeing people that identify as you, and if they do, being gay, they get picked on, um, made fun of, talked about. That wasn't a positive representation as well. So just doing everything I do is passion, purpose, and impact. That's my personal values on life. So everything I do, how I organize my time, it's based on those three values. So just living my authentic self, being the best I can be. Taking, I say sometimes it was my three strikes, born as female, African American, and a lesbian. And it just, I took those three strikes and now I turned those into a grand slam. And that's in one of my signature speeches that I talk about my journey, because now it's like I feel like I'm unstoppable ever since I started accepting who I was, and I took risks. I jumped, tried out some things in life, and the success I've had, it makes me proud to say that this is who I am and this is what I accomplished. And the journey is just beginning for me. I'm looking forward to everything that's in store. So that's how I live my life and live my purpose. It's just doing the things that I want to do, not letting who I am or the way people identify me as limiting factors in what I can achieve in my lifetime.
Well, let's take a step back because, like you said, in your world, there wasn't anybody that you can really be mentored by, back in the day. So, what was it that really pushed you, Jamila, to say, "This is who I am, and I don't give a rat's butt who who cares or not"? So, how did you finally say to yourself, "This is who I am. I'm gonna keep pushing forward"? What was that path like? That journey like?
So one of the things that helped me become more accepting of myself was, I'm sure a lot of people know who Ellen DeGeneres is. She had a TV show before she had the Ellen show, and I used to watch that every now and then. Um, Growing up, we had, I think, one or two TVs, so it wasn't the family favorite to watch, but we were able to. Well, I was able to watch it a few times. So she came out on that show. So seeing her come out, I think she kind of came out to the world, even though she came out on the TV show. That was like a monumental point in my life, and that was the first time I've ever seen anybody openly say they were gay on TV. And at least in my lifetime growing up. And I think that was maybe 97, 98, something like that. So I'm like 17, 18 during that time frame. So that was like something that was the first thing that I was like, man, she just said this publicly. And it was a big deal back then. I don't know if you probably remember it too, Tommy. She was on
I
the
do.
cover of every magazine, be interviewed by every morning show, evening, late night show. So that was monumental for me. And then fast forward, I think I came out to my family shortly afterwards, because I thought it was safe. And fast forward after that, I did the military. And when I joined the military, it was don't ask, don't tell. So I lived under and served under that. So it was like I felt I was getting to liberate myself, but then I had to like be closeted again, if you will, when I joined the military. So that was something else like, okay, this is something else that was like a limiting factor for me. Since then, that Don't Ask, Don't Tell has been repelled, and I still currently serve. But um, just like going through those experiences and living through those, growing through those, not only living but growing through those few experiences, kind of helped me be the person that I am today, and that whole coming out experience and stuff.
So you said when you came out to your family, it felt safe. Was it?
It was safe. It was safe. My mother, I remember when it happened. Like I said, it was during the time Ellen came out. And then when I came out to my mother first, it was like she had a gay colleague at her job, a, a, a male. And I said, I'm like him. You're cool. I forgot his name. Let's say Rich. I'm like Rich. I'm like him, mommy. And she's like, oh, baby, it's okay. You're young, meaning like you'll grow out of this. You're young and you have your whole life to live. And, you know, um, I had felt the same way. And look at me, meaning married with kids, married to a male and with kids. But my mom was real, like, even though she said those things, she was real supportive of me throughout the journey. I don't think she verbalized it as much, but Um, but she still loved me unconditionally throughout that. And then my dad, on the other hand, he ignored me for a week when he found out. He actually confronted me. I think I was driving, going to work. My dad, this was before I could drive legally. So my dad took me to work and he confronted me like on the way to work, which is like a 15-20 minute drive, and said, "Hey, I heard you like women." And I was like, I'm thinking, who told him this? I only told my mom, and I know they talked, so I put two and two together. So
So were they
he
not married at the time?
no, they were married. My parents were
Okay.
married up until they my mother passed.
Okay.
And but it was like I didn't tell anybody else but my mother. So I was like, it had to have been my dad, or it had to be my mom told my dad. So he was like, I was like, I'm thinking about it when he asked me the question, and he was like, anything you think about, you're gonna do. And I remember him telling me that. And then it was a quiet ride the rest of the way to work, and I wish I could have jumped out the car that day, but I remember the same spot that it happened. And yeah. So like I said, my dad, he ignored me for like a week, and we lived in the same house, and he really didn't say much to me. And eventually he came around, but
How long was eventually though?
about a week,
Okay.
he ignored me. And once I started working, I make my own money, I could buy my own clothes. So I used to tend to shop in the men's department, still do, because I just feel more comfortable in those clothes. And he used to say sly remarks. So that kind of hurt because I wouldn't expect my father to do that. But I guess everybody's entitled to opinions about stuff. So,
Well,
but
yes, but
mhm.
no. But this is your child, and
Yes.
maybe this is the cliche.
Hmm.
You know, everybody's raised differently,
Yes.
and I remember when the AIDS epidemic first started, and I can't remember. I think it was my mom telling me that my godfather Ray was probably one of the first men affected by it. And I really didn't think anything of it because I had great memories of Ray.
Hmm.
I had, two parents that I feel did it right, where,
Hmm.
it didn't matter white, black, straight, gay,
Hmm.
were, you peel, and this is going to sound gross, but you peel our skin off and our bones look essentially the same. And
True.
this is why I love, this is going to sound odd, but this is me, but this is why I love going to the dog park, because you go to the dog park and you've got dogs that are white, brown, black, tall, short. All
Hmm.
they care about is, can I come up to you and sniff your butt? Are we going to become friends? There you go.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yes.
saying that we need to go out and sniff each other's butts. I mean, if you're into that, whatever. But it's, if my son came to me, Jamila, and said, Dad, I'm gay, I'm like, great. Anything else? I just, again, maybe that's the way I was raised, where it didn't matter. It didn't matter.
Hmm.
And so it hurts when I hear, especially, being in the dad space, your dad not accepting you for
Yes.
who you are.
Yes. And I agree, Tommy. I wish humans act more like dogs sometimes, but when it comes to the park, at least.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's just and a lot of times in the African American community, homosexuality is a sin, and it's not something that's accepted. And I think I had it easy compared to only my dad ignore me for a week, and saying some smart remarks from time to time. But some people get disowned, sadly, and it happens all across. I know in the African American, I can speak for that community, but I've had other friends outside that community, and they have like horrible relationships, and they don't even talk to some of their family members because of that, because of who you simply just choose to love. Not like we're hurting anybody, we're just loving people. That's why I don't get it. But but yeah, my dad, he did. We did start talking eventually, after about a week. And, I still lived in the house up until throughout college. And after college, I joined the military and then took off with that and haven't lived back in South Carolina since. But, um, and when he did pass in 2017, my family members were saying, because I was crying over my aunt house and saying he didn't accept me for who I was. Yeah, this is like years later, and they said he loved you, and I knew my dad loved me. It wasn't a question like did he stop loving me. I knew he did. It's just that I don't think he was accepting of that part of me. And I think a lot of questions start to think, what did they do wrong? I think my mom kind of questioned herself, like they didn't do anything wrong. I was a typical female and a girl growing up. I had Barbie dolls, baby dolls, didn't like to play with them as much. I wanted to play with the boys and football and tag and do stuff, throw my body around. But, that was just me growing up. And I was a tomboy growing up. And I have this running joke that my parents saw that in me. So they stuck me in ballet of all places. It was like torture for like 4 years. But I had to wear tights and tutus, and that just wasn't me. But that was something that they felt that they wanted to do for me. But I think it did more harm than anything. Um, but yeah, I just think that different people handle situations differently because of our cultures or the way we were raised or a certain religion sometimes dictate that this is wrong, even though I know it's not. It's just love. So loving somebody is wrong. That doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, but like I said, my dad, he came around. I knew he loved me. And my family told me after he passed that he was proud of me and everything I've done with my life. And he actually wanted to move out here to Colorado before he passed. um so so yeah, it was a long time with him. I think of accepting that.
So let's try and put
Hmm.
the, the we'll play the what if game. So what if you could go into the shoes of your mom,
Hmm.
and now you have a daughter, Jamila. How do you feel that as we parents, if we have a child that comes out to us, how can you recommend us parents helping our kids in a positive way and help them grow and be successful, knowing the outside world more. I mean, let's just say the outside world looks at that child differently. So how can we parents help our kids get through that?
Yes, great question. And yeah, I don't know how hard it is to raise kids. 'Cause I don't have any, but just from the child perspective, because I was that child and sibling. I have three sisters, so I would just say love, like love, unconditional love. Because I say unconditional because a lot of times people love their child, and then something happens, or they come out, or you can fill in the blank with different scenarios. In this case, coming out, they tend to stop. And that's why I say when you have unconditional love, it doesn't matter what your child does or did or what they're doing, you would still continue to love them regardless. So, first and foremost, unconditional love. Second is to support them through this journey, through their life. Third is to educate. Educate yourself, help educate your child. Because we don't know everything. I learn stuff every day about um, you know different things in life. So this education too helps, and just letting them know like it's okay. Like I can't imagine my family disowning me. I have a close knit family, um, mom's side, dad's side of the family. So that would be hard. I don't know what I would do if I didn't speak to my sisters. We speak every day now, um, and I wouldn't know what I would do if I haven't heard from them. They haven't heard from me, and I can share, who I'm dating, and hopefully eventually one day get married and maybe have a kid. I don't know, or maybe have some fur babies or something. But so I can go to the dog park, right?
Yeah.
But definitely, my top things I would recommend is unconditional love, support, because it is hard. You know, it's hard to not follow the norms. And that could be in different scenarios, you know, like the title of this podcast is Blended Family. You know, sometimes that could be a hard thing just to start a blended family, you know. So just, you know, I just think if we just focus on the ultimate goal of love and everybody being happy and supportive, I think our families would be in a much better place, and also the whole world too.
What about as parents? How
Hmm.
can we talk to our kids about? So, for example, I've had this conversation with my kids,
Hmm.
and it was one of those moments, Jamila, where you didn't expect their answer, and you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. And my point to them was, you know, there's going to be a chance that you're going to have friends that are gay, and they're both were like, yeah, we already do. I'm like, oh, so you know, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. So how can we parents help support our kids who have gay friends?
Yeah, so for parents who have kids who have gay friends, just be supportive. Like I would even like make it a thing, you know, like when you make it a thing, it
Mm.
becomes a thing. And that
Oh,
sounds
that's
a
awesome.
little, I know. Sounds a little redundant with the thing, but it's true. Like I mean, I wouldn't expect you to single out somebody's kid or, you know, but just make sure they feel included. Like it shouldn't be no separation. So they all friends. You know, sometimes you might know, sometimes you may not know unless your child say, "Hey, mom, dad, this is, you know, Kim and she's gay," or "This is Timmy and he's gay," or pansexual or demisexual or asexual. You know, sexuality is a spectrum. It's not just gay, straight. It's a whole spectrum now, which I'm learning, or I've learned over the last couple of years, how complex sexuality and sexual orientation is, and identity. So, just being supportive, though, I would not isolate or, you know, just treat somebody different, regardless of what it is, ability level, ethnicity, orientation, identity. Like it's just not right. Like most average people would think that would be something that's not cool to do. And every parent want to be cool, so don't do it. Or they
Oh, I know
try
I'm
to
not
be
cool.
cool.
I know I'm not a cool parent. I was never the cool parent.
But try to be cool.
As
Yeah.
much as I try,
Hmm.
no, I am not a cool parent. I'm the
Oh,
dorky parent.
hey, those are cool too. But yeah, just basically support and just be there because you never know, like if your kid's friend family treats them a certain way, you know, and if that's the case, if you find out, just be there to support. Maybe you can talk to those parents, you know, have conversations and you know find other parents that have been through similar situations. You can educate them because you have things like PFLAG, parents and I think it's parents and friends allies, lesbian and gays. So PFLAG, nationwide organization made up of parents and other people, friends and stuff, who have people in their family who are within the underneath the rainbow, put it that way. So definitely help them with resources and stuff. That's if the parents of that your friend's child is, you know, treating them a certain way because they might feel safe and comfortable to talk to you because they can't talk to their own parents. I've heard of situations like that too.
Well, it goes back to educating. I mean,
Hmm.
I think you just made that's a great point. Is, you know, even if you are not a parent, uh, a gay child, educate yourself
Hmm.
because you never know who might come to you. You know, that's somebody could see you as, you know, a mentor or maybe the cool parent and say, hey, I have a question. And being educated would definitely help that conversation.
Yes. Yes. Education. I think education kind of like washes out all ignorance. Ignorance is not knowing. You don't know what you don't know. I'm ignorant to some things because I just don't know about them. But, um, I think education is key. And not just education, but when you get that education, you apply it to your life. So if you learn something, you can educate yourself. You can make better informed decisions about your actions moving forward. In this case, how to treat people and how to support people.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe in Stephen Covey's book, Seven Habits.
Hmm.
One of the first habits is when you learn something, educate people on it, teach
Yes.
people on that, because you don't want to just hold, you know, that learning. You want to share that learning. That's why I love a former boss of mine who's one of my mentors. For Christmas last year, for Christmas, gave me the book, The Daily Stoic. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that book because there's so much learning.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some of the readings that I love to just take a picture and post it, because I want to share, because I know a lot of people aren't reading Ryan Holiday's book, and they should, The Daily Stoic. Well, Ryan Holiday and Stephen Handelsman, um, there's so much great value. I mean, one of the things I just had to be reminded to myself this week in one of the readings was asking for help. We
Mm-hmm.
can't all do it alone, and it goes back to what you were saying, educating. Somebody that somebody who is my business coach, Glenn P. Brooks Jr. He talks about
Mm-hmm.
we all need help sometimes. I've got the
True.
the the, the band on my wrist to remind me we all need some help. And if you are ignorant on a certain topic, go learn about it. I mean, especially how to, I don't know, treat people. I think that, um, not to get political, but I think we're getting better. I want to say I hope we're getting better
Me
at
too.
treating people after the past 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, again, to use an animal analogy, I mean, unconditional love to me is always represented by our pets. You come home and it's like they're seeing you for the first time. And I you know it, it's funny because a buddy of mine who I have not talked to since Christmas, and this could be a guy thing, this might be a
Mm-hmm.
guy thing, but we haven't talked since Christmas, and he texted me this past weekend to say Happy Father's Day. And I responded back to him, Happy Father's Day to you too, because you have a fur baby. And the point here is that with guys, we can not have a conversation for months and just pick up where we left off.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, that to me, this friend of mine, and we can talk about this as well, is he is one of the few guy friends I have, Jamila.
Yeah.
And I had this conversation earlier today with somebody else. And oh, which notebook? Oh, it's a good thing I wrote this down. But so this friend of mine, he and I, when we're on the phone together, the last thing we will say to each other, Jamila, is "I love you." And I know that's very rare for two guys
True.
to say that. But there's an article in the Huffington Post called "My Best Friend and I Are Straight Married Men, and We Tell Each Other I Love You." And the
Nice.
article was fantastic
Nice.
because, again, that's, even though in the article the author talks about that's not how he was really raised,
Mm-hmm.
but because of the relationship he had with his best friend, they are comfortable with saying that. And I go back to parents, unconditional love, just like you said.
Yes.
Love your kids, support your kids, educate
Mm-hmm.
yourself about things. I know I went on a tangent, but
That's okay.
I just, again, I don't. want to say that we live in a world with rose-colored glasses and unicorns hanging out on rainbows, pooping Skittles. But I've if you really want to, you know, bring it down to the basics, to me it's the parents.
Yes.
And if again, if you came to me, Jamila, and I was your dad back then, and you said to me, "Dad, I'm gay." Okay, what should we do? Should we bake a cake? I mean, let's celebrate. Let's embrace it.
Yes.
And I just hope that after our conversation today, and we put this out into the universe, that
Hmm.
because of your story, a parent is going to say, I need to be showing unconditional love to my kids.
Yes. I agree. That's the best thing a parent can do, other than, of course, support them and, financially until, you decide to stop that. But I think that unconditional love is forever. You may not always support your kids because they grow up and be, law-abiding citizens, and start their own families. But I think most importantly is just unconditional love throughout their whole life. That's the best thing you can do for your kids, anybody, in my opinion.
Yeah, and again, I had a conversation today for another podcast episode, and we were talking about how, like, for example, my son is heading off to college, and he's going to experience new things, and he's not going to be under the watchful eye of his parents. And I am nervous as all get go because he is going to be several states away. And, I remember, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners remember their college days. And, I think back of all the stupid things I did. And, you know, yeah, there's too many to never got arrested. I'm proud of that fact. Never did anything, illegal, Jamila, but did
Yes.
just did stupid things. And I'm nervous because I hope my son does stupid things and he learns, but at the same time, I don't want to be a helicopter parent and, you know, go move there and just, make sure he's under a watchful eye. I want our kids to learn how to fail. I want our kids
Yes.
to learn and grow. And it to me again, it doesn't matter. White, black, Asian, straight, gay. Again, to your point, Jamila, unconditional love
Yes.
and let our kids fail. It's a wonderful moment.
True. True. Fell forward. Fell forward. And the only difference is, I think, is people like now we have social media. When I was in college, we didn't have social media. I think what was that thing that stuff? Facebook. It was like college something. It started when I was in college, and then Facebook came after that. But now everything's recorded, so if he does do stupid things, you might see it if
That's
you
what
follow
I'm
him.
afraid of. That's a good point.
Yeah, if you follow him. Now everybody put everything out there. So just give him that lesson. Hey, you're gonna do stupid stuff. That's okay. Just don't record it.
Or make sure nobody else is recording it too.
Yeah, yeah, true. But yeah, I think just being there for your son, and I'm pretty sure he'll make the best decisions. If not, he'll learn from it. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
we
I
all
hope so.
learn. I'm still learning lessons as we speak, and I know you are too. So life is a book full of many lessons if you let it be.
Well, I think another one of your quotes was always find value in yourself despite
Hmm.
the price the world label you as.
Yes.
And the one thing that drives me nuts is labels.
Hmm.
I don't like labels. I don't like I there was somebody had posted on Instagram and was asking advice about this deadbeat dad. I said, number one, remove the label. He's a
Mhm.
dad.
Mhm.
I don't care if he is behind on child support. He's a dad. You
Mhm.
know, to me, Jamila, you're my friend. You've
Mhm.
been my friend for many years. I you know, yeah, it's dumb of me to say, well, I don't see color. Well, you are black. I mean, I'm white. And so it's just, you know, I'm not a fan of labels. You know, when people like go up to us and say, "Hey, what kind of dog do you have?" I go, "A dog." You know what breed to me doesn't matter. He's a
He's a dog.
and as people can probably hear him chewing,
Mhm.
but he's a dog. He's a great wing dog.
Yes. Nice. And yeah, I don't. I'm not a fan of labels too. But I know that's just a lot of people do, or our society culture.
Yeah,
You have to check a box. Like why do we have boxes? Like, can we eliminate the boxes? Can we just check human? Are you a good
I like
human,
that.
or bad human, or sometime or in the middle, or like I don't know, like, but that's how the system was built. So, but I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it could change, which things are changing. But but yeah, I'm just like real excited to share my journey of that child who grew up in a family that just was given love. Um and I think it shows in the way I carry out my life too, the unconditional love I have.
What does it mean to you, Jamila, to be a, a woman of color, a woman who's gay, and a woman who's also in the military? What does all those things mean to you?
It means being a woman, and I say women, and when I usually write it, I use an X because women with the X is more inclusive to anybody who identifies as a woman. I like the term female better, but I say women with the X. But what that means to me is that one, I think like females in general, women, females, we overcome, and I think I see strength in that. Didn't always see that, but because of the society that we live in, like women still make less than our male counterpart, and especially women of color, we make less than that. But what I see is resilient. I see strong. I see determined because a lot of women from various identities and ethnicities, we've all like can overcome a lot in our past, and we probably gonna still continue to as we maneuver and live through this world. But just using that as something that's going to help propel me forward, not as something that's going to hinder me and what I'm trying to do in this life and the legacy that I'm building and going to leave. So to me, it's like I said, I didn't always see my life and myself like that, but now it's like women can do anything a man can do, half the times better. So most of the times better. So at least in my eyes.
Oh, I agree
But
with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you.
yeah, but so just basically like yes, we might have to work a little harder sometimes, but I think it's worth it, you know. And I don't like just being given something because I'm a woman, but or a female. But I think it should be an even playing field. But sometimes you do have to work a little harder, depending on your identities. And as in regards to like my identities in the military, it's 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 been good. Military in general is male dominated career field. If you look at military as a whole, but so most jobs typically have more males than females. And it depending on your service, it's not as many people of color in some of the branches, but we're the minority, if that makes sense. So I think like I don't know. I try to not look at myself through those eyes. I just try to be the best person I can be and the leader I can be at this point in my career. I just try to do that, and it's good to see people that look like me or identify like me in certain positions, as always, like with anything. But it just it's just something that for me, I don't take it lightly, because I think representation matters, regardless of what you represent. When it comes to identities, it does matter. But I try not to take it with a grain of salt.
Want to change gears a little bit because one of
Sure.
the things that I know you've done in the past and that were very successful, and I am so guilty of not updating mine, but it's creating vision boards.
Hmm.
And when I was doing some research today and I was writing some notes, I thought of a maybe a side vision board business for you. You
Hmm.
ready?
Sure.
Creating vision boards for parents to do with their kids.
I like that. I like that idea.
It's yours. It's your. I'm passing the baton to you on that. So, where did that um, come up with vision boards and not only creating your own, but teaching others how to do vision boards? And how about this? Explain what is a vision board. I mean, I know what they are, but
Hmm.
what is a vision board?
Yeah. So vision boards, to me, this is my definition, Jamila Bryant definition. Vision board is like a board of goals. It can be goals, it can be affirmations, a vision for your life. I have some with pictures. It's like a picture. Some people say a picture collage or a collage. You can use magazines, newspapers, words, aka I use a lot of affirmations on my vision boards, and I have one that's specifically for affirmations, words that's going to uplift me, that keep me in, the right state of mind, a positive state of mind, or a positive mental attitude. So basically, you can, like, if you have a goal of, okay, everybody gained the COVID-20 last year, so 20 pounds that is. So just basically, okay, I want to lose weight this year. Have a vision of what that looked like, on your board. If you like, one of the things I put on my board was to do more podcasts this year. This is I think my second podcast this year because, like I said, life happened, but I'm back on track now. Um, so whatever that vision or that goal is for your life, and it could be on an annual basis, it can be a 3 year, 5 year. It's all up to you. You can be as creative as you want with this. It can be a vision for your family. Like if you're single like me, and one day you want to be married, you can create a vision board. What will that marriage look like? What would that house look like? Where do you want to live? Like you can create that. If you want fur babies on it, you put that on there. I have plant babies right now because they're low maintenance, except for my peace lilies, little high maintenance for a plant, but they're my babies. But so basically, anything you like, you have a vision for your life or any goals that you want to achieve, put it in front of you. Tommy tells me write stuff down, write it down, write it down. You can also put a vision to that. And you see that every day. It can become white noise if you let it, but you know, look at it every day. Mine is right next to my bed. So when I'm walking to and from bed, well, I guess to bed, I can see it. If I'm walking away, I can't see it. I don't have that superpower yet. But uh, but I see it every time I go to bed, and it can become white noise, especially when life happens and you just in the zone and you're not really there. And I have to snap myself out of it sometime, and like that was my vision. And I did fall off track a little, but I'm back on track now, and that, but I still have my vision in front of me. And you can also have a life one. Some people just do one for their whole life. This is the way I want my life to be. I want to have a house. I want to have two cars. I want to have a beach property. I want to have a significant other in my life eventually. So that it can be whatever you want to be. If you want to get your degree or master's, or you want to start a business, a dog walk, you want to start dog parks around the city. Um, you can put whatever you want on it. Just don't forget about it. That's the key thing, because you can have a vision all day long. Don't forget about it, and don't work. You got to work towards it. That's the biggest thing. Like, you can put anything on a piece of paper or on a vision board, but if you don't have a game plan to work towards it, it's not going to come to fruition. Yeah.
I love vision boards. I mean, the the first time was when my mom was running a back in the burbs of Chicago. Her and
Mm-hmm.
her business partner were doing um, temp. It was a temp agency, and from time to time they need somebody to answer the phone. So I would go work for my mom,
Mm-hmm.
and she had a vision board up there. And the first time I saw that, I was like, "What is this?" And she explained what it was. I'm like, "Oh, that's brilliant." And so, I'd put that in the back of my mind, and then somebody loaned me when it first came out the movie The Secret, and they talked about that, and so I really got into it. But as I'm looking at mine from 2015,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that's why I'm like, I need to update mine big time.
Sure.
Um, Something you're talking about is getting back on track, and so I
Mm-hmm.
know from our talks, and you know, um, you had that. It was your nephew, right?
Yes, it was my nephew, my only nephew, first and only nephew.
Um, he was murdered,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like you said, life happened, and trying for in your situation, getting back on track. So, you know, people are going to, like you were talking about. So we go through COVID, and people are working from home. No gyms are open, and everybody thinks, oh, if the gym is closed, I can't go work out. So therefore, I've gained weight. How would you, again, with your nephew, but at the same time, how did you learn from that tragedy to get back on track?
Yeah. So how did I learn? Let's see. I think like I lost my parents, which I alluded to before on here, but my mom, she died suddenly. Didn't see it coming. Spoke to her 3 hours later, she was gone. Didn't have a chance to prepare for that. My dad was a slow transition. He was sick. Eventually, doctors couldn't do much, went to hospice. He slowly transitioned after that. I could prepare myself. So I've lived through both types of death, prepared and then a sudden death. And then my nephew was like, it was sudden because I didn't see that coming. He was murdered by teenagers. And he was 18 years old. He's supposed to like graduate high school this past Friday. I was just in South Carolina to attend his high school graduation, which they honored his diploma. And he's supposed to go off to trade school this fall. And, great kid. And yeah, that taught me that, again, life is short, you know, um, do everything you want to do. My nephew did. He did everything he wanted to do. I think a lot of the younger generation now, they just do stuff. They lived. He traveled with family. My sister, he traveled with us. Um, he had a huge family. He was a family kid. He loved his family, hanging out with family. He loved this family, and it just taught me that life is like super duper short. Like my mom taught me that life is short because she just something, but my nephew was like, whoa, we never know when our time is going to get, or time is up, or a ticket's going to get called, or my number's going to get called. So um, it did slow me down. Like I felt guilty of wanting to move on with, projects I was working on, moving forward with the business and speaking, but I felt guilt for wanting to do all those things. But as this grief process continues, there's different levels of grief and periods, and nobody can tell you how to grieve. But my grief was just standing still in life in other areas. But now I'm like, okay, I'm getting to the point where I can channel his energy as energy in his spirit. I'm not all the way there yet, but I'm getting there where I can, channel that his spirit. Because now we have to deal with the court process. And I've never done this before. Never been in court. Never been in jail. So I don't know how this process works. So, but it's like it's reopening the wound for me. I can't imagine how my sister felt. And that was her only son and her only child and his dad's only child. So it's like it kind of reopens that wound all over again when you got a court trial coming up, you know. Um, but to get back to your question, I just try to channel it as energy, and sometimes I one of my quotes that I said a couple of years ago that I keep saying. Sometimes I've learned in life sometimes you gotta slow down before you can speed up, because I had
Ooh.
to slow down in other points, other areas of life too that didn't deal with tragedy. But it's like let me slow down before I speed up, and this was another point in my life where I have to slow down before I can speed up again. It's like a cycle. And you never know what's going to take you off track. It could be the passing of a loved one. It could be a move. I moved a couple times. It could be a move. It could be a new job. It could be COVID. So a lot of things can happen and, kind of get you off track where you're in a state of being slow. But sometimes, and I often say this, and I've learned that sometimes being still is okay. I'm a person that was doing a lot of stuff. 2019, 2020, I was doing a lot of stuff um, pertaining to living in my passion, building my dream life, speaking, getting opportunities to do trainings and talks and stuff, interviews and panels. And this point of time where, since my nephew passed, it felt like I just been standing still in all those areas, which wasn't a bad thing through my eyes. But now I'm getting my momentum back up. I just have more energy to propel me forward, more inspiration. Because I know my 18-year-old nephew, he won't ever get to live out his dreams. I still have a shot to do mine, but he won't. We love sports, and that was one of the things that we would do. I would take him to an NBA game, and I try to show him things that like this is how you can do it. Like I like good seats. I don't like nosebleed seats. I used to tell him, you want nosebleed seats, you watch it at home.
Yeah.
Less traffic, less people in your vicinity. But so we always have like good seats when we go to the games and stuff, and that's how you do it. You don't sit in nosebleed section. But I just tried to like expose him and stuff, and he followed me on social media and saw what I was doing, and I would drop him nuggets and stuff that I've learned about just dreaming big, and I would send him inspirational videos and check this out. But yeah, I just think to bring it back to center is just just life is very short, and we don't know when it's going to happen to us, when our number is going to get called. So just live out your life, be your most authentic self, live in your passion, take risks, do everything that you said you want to do. And I've heard someone say this before, and I started saying or repeating it. Like when we were all kids, we had these big, bodacious dreams about what we wanted to do with our life and the things we wanted to do. And over time, those big, bodacious dreams and goals kind of like faded away for a lot of people. Mine's faded away for a time, but I started to dream big again. And that's all relative to what you want to call dream big or what you want your life to look like, because everybody's different in that respect. So I encourage y'all to just if you've been putting off stuff, just you don't know, like do things. And Tommy, you tell me this all the time, like do it, do it, do it now. That's why I put the book out. I wanted to wait till I was done with grad school. Tommy's like, no, you're not promising another day. Do it now, Jamila. you know So, takeaway from my nephew's passing in March was just we call this hashtag we started like live like DJ. That's what the community and we all do. Hashtag live like DJ, long live DJ, or live like DJ, because he made everybody smile. He loved his friends and family and food and sports, and it was like he helped everybody. He didn't care. Like a lot of people, they were talking at the graduation about him during their speeches. Like he didn't care. what color you were, what you look like. They were like quoting my nephew at his graduation. I'm like, he got that from me. He got that from me because people were quoting, some of the things he said about how to treat people. And I was like, man, my nephew, he lived a legacy. He left a legacy. I'm sorry. In his 18 years of life, he touched so many people. Everybody have nothing but good things to say about him. So when you said all you could say and your light is not burning, what will people say about you? It made me think about that too. Like if I go today or tomorrow, what will people say about Jamila? How did I make them feel? What will they say? Are they gonna say long live Jamila? Or whatever hashtag they might come up with. But it just makes me bring life into perspective again. And even now, my older sister, is like something that I wanted to buy. I haven't bought. It was like a pair of sneakers or something. I was like, well, they're too expensive. I don't pay that much. She was like, just do it. Just do it. DJ, he wanted to do so many things, like moving forward with his life as an adult, like we all look forward to adulthood and doing things. He can't do that anymore. So my sister, the more of the story was to just do it. And I know that, you know, just do that. Just do it. Like Nike, as people know, just do it. So that's my lessons from my nephew's tragic situation. How I'm trying to, or how I am channeling this situation into something positive to help propel me move forward. As I get back into the groove of doing things, it'll just be another inspiration and energy channel that I can use.
Well, Jamila Bryant, I am so honored that you came on. I am honored for each and every day of, like you said in the opening, living your purpose. Um, we started this before I give you the last question. We started this
Hmm.
podcast with 1 year quotes. We're going to end with 1 year quotes before I give you the last question. And from your book, quote, I am just struggling today. Quote Junkie Diaries, Volume 1. I want to emphasize that to you, Jamila. There's more volumes to come out.
Sure is.
Um, but from the first book, Love is Love, Let Love Win. I think that it's a good way to um, end, but at the same time, you ready for your last question, Jamila?
I'm ready. I'm ready. Always ready.
Okay. If you could step into my shoes, what would you have asked that I did not ask? If you could step into my shoes, Jamila, what would you have asked that I did not ask?
That's a tough question. If I could step into Tommy's shoes, what would I ask that you did not ask? I would say I would ask. I think you asked everything pertaining to, but let me. I guess I have to say something besides that, or ask something. So I would definitely say, were you or how? I don't know. You might would have said something like this, or asked me something like this, like, how did fear play a role in who you are? So I know fear is a touchy subject for people. So I would have wanted you to probably ask me something about fear. Fear of either coming out or you fear, we all face fear. I don't care who we are. We all face fear to some level or degree. So how did fear help you become the person you are?
So, how did fear become the person you are?
How did fear help me? Because I learned how it's like fear is like one of my friends now. Like when I fear stuff, I usually more than likely, if I fear something, that means I got to do it because it's like a big challenge, like a roadblock. When you overcome your fears, it's like challenging yourself and you discover something new about yourself. Whether you win, lose, or have a lesson learned, I think that fear, it's like a motivation now. I use it as motivation, like failure. It's okay if I attempt and I fail. I tried. I learned some things that I didn't know beforehand. And I look at that as fear. Like if I face fear or I'm afraid to do something, that means I need to do it even more. So that's how fear has helped me, like living my life. If I fear being who I am, I'm going to regret if I don't face it. So why live your life full of regret and in fear when you can live free? So I choose to be free over living in fear.
I think you just created some new quotes for volume 2, 3, 4.
I know, right? T-shirts, everything,
You know,
stickers, magnets. Yeah, I just
coffee
thought about.
mugs.
I know, right? Coffee mugs, everything. The brand is will be growing. I will say that. But yeah, like the four-letter word fear is just something that hinders a lot of people. And like I said, we never know when our number is going to be called. It can happen today, tomorrow, 5 Tuesdays, 5 Mondays from today. You don't know, but live every life, live every day like it should last. 'Cause we're not promised.
Well, the only
Nobody.
problem the only problem with that is
Mhm.
I heard a comedian talk about that where he said, "Well, if I lived every day like it was my last, I would max out my credit card. I would max out my credit card." So,
Use with caution. I guess live with caution. Well, I'm not gonna say live with caution, but use that phrase with caution.
yeah. So, Jamila, how can people in this audience get a hold of you to speak at their next event, to
Sure.
learn about vision boards, to hear some more quotes from you? Original quotes, I should say.
Original quotes. Yes. So if people enjoy this podcast conversation, thank you. Thank you for tuning in because literally you could have been anywhere in the world right now for the last hour, but you decided to spend it with Tommy and myself. So thank you. If you want to keep in contact, you can hit me up on Instagram at JAIN. Let me let me make sure I have it right because I kind of took a step back from Instagram since a lot happened. But you can catch me at JAIN as a nice BRY. That's my Instagram handle. From there, you can go to Quote Junkie Diaries, or you can go to hashtag or at Quote Junkie Diaries, or you can do Push Forward Development. You can follow me there on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn under my government name, Jamila, Jamila, as in nice period, Bryant, like Kobe, Bryant. And if you want to shoot me an email, you can also email me at J as in Jamila, N as in nice, B as in Bryant, at pushforwarddevelopment.com. So those are the ways you can contact me and work with me in the future if you like, or just send me a nice thank you note.
Uh, Send thank you notes. Yeah. Yeah. People forget to send thank you notes these
They
days.
do.
Yeah. Jamila, thank you so much for your time. I know this has been a long time coming, but I'm happy we did it.
I
Otis says thank you as well.
see. Give me a shout
Yeah.
out.